Mothman, the omen of Point Pleasant's darkest hour. In the serene town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, life had always been quiet, predictable even. The town was nestled along the Ohio River, surrounded by rolling hills and dense forests, a place where the days passed slowly and the nights were calm. But all of that changed in the late autumn of 1966, when something strange and terrifying began to stir in the shadows, forever altering the town's history. It all began on a cold November evening. The air was crisp, with the first hints of winter creeping in. In a small cemetery near Clendenin, a group of gravediggers worked late into the night, their shovels slicing through the frozen earth. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the landscape. As the men labored in silence, a sudden rustling in the trees caught their attention. They paused, looking around, expecting to see a bird or perhaps a bat. But what they saw left them frozen in fear. Hovering just above the treetops was a figure unlike anything they had ever seen. It was tall, man-like, but with enormous wings that seemed to stretch out endlessly. The creature's eyes glowed a deep, menacing red, piercing through the darkness. For a moment it seemed to hang in the air, observing the men below. Then, with a powerful flap of its wings, it soared into the night, disappearing as quickly as it had appeared. The gravediggers stood in stunned silence, their hearts pounding in their chests. Had they really seen what they thought they had? Or was it some sort of hallucination brought on by exhaustion in the late hour? The encounter left the men shaken, but they had no way of knowing that this was only the beginning. Just a few days later, on November 15th, 1966, two young couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Millette, decided to go for a drive through the old TNT area, a remote and deserted site on the outskirts of Point Pleasant. The TNT area had been used during World War II for manufacturing explosives, but now it was abandoned, its decaying buildings overgrown with weeds and vines. The road was dark and winding, flanked by dense woods on either side. As the couples drove deeper into the area, an uneasy feeling began to settle over them. Suddenly, as they rounded a bend, the headlights of their car illuminated something standing in the middle of the road. At first they thought it might be a person, a very tall person, until they saw the wings. The creature was enormous, standing nearly 7 feet tall, with a wingspan that seemed to stretch across the entire road, but the most terrifying feature was its eyes. Large, glowing red eyes that seemed to burn with an otherworldly light. The creature stared at the car, unblinking, as if sizing up the people inside. Panic surged through the group, and Roger, who was driving, slammed his foot on the accelerator. The car lurched forward, and the creature unfurled its wings, taking to the air, but it didn't retreat. Instead, it gave chase, flying just above the car, keeping pace with terrifying ease. The couples could hear the beating of its wings, a low, rhythmic thumping that grew louder and louder as the creature closed in. For what felt like an eternity, the creature pursued them, its glowing eyes never leaving the car. The couples screamed, urging Roger to drive faster. Finally, as they neared the edge of the TNT area, the creature suddenly veered off and disappeared into the darkness, leaving the couples shaken and terrified. The encounter left the couples in a state of shock. They rushed to the police station to report what they had seen, their voices trembling as they recounted the nightmarish experience. The police were skeptical, but the fear in the couple's eyes was undeniable. Word of the sighting spread quickly through the town, and soon everyone was talking about the creature that had come to be known as the Mothman. In the days and weeks that followed, more and more people reported seeing the Mothman. It was spotted on rooftops, lurking in the shadows and even peering into windows late at night. Each new sighting was more terrifying than the last, and the townspeople were gripped by fear. What was this creature? Where had it come from, and what did it want? As the sightings continued, a strange sense of dread began to settle over the town. It was as if the Mothman's presence was a warning, a sign that something terrible was about to happen. Some residents started having disturbing dreams, nightmares that seemed too real to ignore. One woman dreamt of Christmas presents floating in the icy waters of the Ohio River, a chilling image that left her feeling cold and unsettled. Others had visions of a disaster, of a catastrophe that would strike the town. The focus of these premonitions soon centered on the Silver Bridge, a vital connection between Point Pleasant and Gallipolis, Ohio. The bridge, which had been built in 1928, was a suspension bridge that spanned the Ohio River, its silver steel framework gleaming in the sunlight. It was a busy bridge, especially during rush hour, when cars lined up bumper to bumper, creeping slowly across the span. The Mothman was seen near the bridge several times, perched high on the structure or flying over it, its red eyes glowing ominously in the twilight. The townspeople couldn't shake the feeling that the bridge was somehow connected to the creature, that it was at the center of whatever dark force had descended on Point Pleasant. Then, on December 15th, 1967, the unthinkable happened. It was a cold, grey afternoon, and the Silver Bridge was packed with cars, drivers eager to get home for the holidays. Without warning, the bridge began to shudder, its steel cables groaning under the strain. In an instant, the entire structure gave way, collapsing into the freezing waters of the Ohio River below. The cars, along with their occupants, were plunged into the river, the sound of twisted metal and breaking glass echoing through the air. Panic swept through the town as news of the disaster spread. Rescue teams were dispatched, but it was too late. 46 people lost their lives that day, their bodies pulled from the icy depths of the river. The tragedy left Point Pleasant in a state of shock and mourning. The town was devastated, and the collapse of the Silver Bridge was etched into the memories of all who lived there. In the wake of the disaster, the sightings of the Mothman ceased as suddenly as they had begun. The creature that had haunted Point Pleasant for over a year seemed to vanish, leaving behind only questions and fear. Many believed that the Mothman had been a harbinger of doom, a warning of the tragedy to come. Others thought it was somehow responsible for the disaster, a malevolent force that had caused the bridge to collapse. But there were also those who wondered if the Mothman was trying to protect the town, to warn them of the danger that lay ahead. The truth, however, remained elusive, lost in the mists of legend. Over the years, the story of the Mothman grew, evolving into one of the most enduring legends in American folklore. Point Pleasant became a place of pilgrimage for those fascinated by the paranormal, eager to learn more about the creature that had terrorized the town. A statue of the Mothman now stands in the town center, its wings spread wide, its red eyes gazing out over the streets where it was once seen. The annual Mothman Festival draws visitors from all over the world, all hoping to catch a glimpse of the creature or at least learn more about the mystery that continues to captivate imaginations. To this day, the legend of the Mothman endures, a haunting reminder of the unknown forces that sometimes intrude on our world, leaving us to wonder what else might be lurking in the shadows just out of sight. If you enjoyed this chilling tale and want to hear more stories of the unexplained and the supernatural, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update, and join us on this journey into the unknown. Who knows what we'll uncover next?